In just about 3 months, I have actually lost almost 10 kg of my weight, and my waist circumference has gone from 39 to 33 inches. And all of this I actually achieved without going to the gym, without counting calories, and most especially without being on any special diet or having to stop my Nigerian food. So in this video today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I was able to achieve this amount of weight loss and more loss of belly fat within such a short period. If this is something that interests you, then you want to wait till the end of this video. So guys, let's just get right into the video. Hello, my name is Blessing and I am a doctor currently practicing here in the UK. So on this channel, I talk about wellness, I talk about healthy lifestyle, and I also share about my life as a doctor. So you're welcome to join the community. So let's just get right into the crux of today. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to start with a short story. And this was sometimes last year, I think between autumn and winter towards the end of the year. So I stumbled on this really nice pant in one of my window shopping periods. And I was like, oh my God, I love this pant and I wanted to get it. But then this pant was in a size 10. And then I just felt, okay, size 10 shouldn't be too bad. And then I tried it and it did not go in at all. I'm like, what? And so I was like, okay, because I really love the design of the pant, I don't mind going for a higher size of a different color. So I decided to try the size 12. And the size 12 managed to get in, but then I couldn't use the band, so it wasn't fitting, so I had to drop it. And I tried to use the band. Of course, it went in, but then I struggled with the band. And, that was the point where I realized that, okay, something is really wrong. How did I get to this point? And that was when I decided that, okay, I needed to do something about my belly fat. Now, after I had my baby postpartum, I actually had a lot of belly fat, and I attempted to actually make some effort to lose it, but then I didn't push through with it, probably because now I know that I didn't have enough information, I didn't have enough understanding of the process, and somehow I just assumed that, okay, it came with pregnancy, and then after the pregnancy was gone, that it was just going to go automatically. But now I know that no, it's not going to go automatically. I was supposed to do something about it, and those are the things that I have done this period that have actually achieved this result for me. So the first thing is, when you're pursuing healthy lifestyle, when you're trying to lose weight or lose fat around your tummy, one important step, which I believe should actually be the first step, is for you to research. Yes, it's very, very, very essential, especially in this period where there are so many contrasting information, on social media. This person comes, says this, and then the other person comes and counters it that, oh, I did the exact opposite of this and I still achieved the same result. So there are so many information out there that if you're not very careful, you could actually do more harm to your body than even what you want to achieve. So I advise that read a lot of research papers, ask questions, and even these days it's easier because AI can actually do so much for you. What I do is I actually, as a doctor, I just feel it's very important that you stick with organizations that are trustworthy, that they won't just come and give you false information. So some of them, for me, they're like organizations like, the NHS, some medical institutions like Harvard University, Mayo Clinic, John Hopkins. A lot of times, that they won't just come and publish any kind of information. A lot of times, research would have been done in order to get to this information that is being put out. So that was one thing I did for myself. And so I would advise that you get information in the right places and not just, build all your journey around a random influencer. The next thing was to actually set a target. Now, I had to tell myself, what do I want to achieve? I had to ask myself, what do I really want to achieve? Okay, I want to lose my belly fat. How much do I want to lose? I want to lose weight. How much do I want to lose? And I feel like these questions are actually very important in order for you to be able to set a timeline. And I always say that, please set realistic goals, because if the goals are not realistic, there's actually a higher chance of failure. So when you have answered these questions, for me, I wanted to reduce my belly fat, and that was because I know that central obesity, which is fat around the waist, is actually linked to a lot of medical conditions, especially some metabolic diseases like diabetes. And so I knew it was important for me to actually lose fat around my tummy. That was essential. Now, one way that you can actually know if your waistline is healthy is to actually do what we call a waist to height ratio, which is like a ratio of your height in any parameter, whether in centimeters, in inches, and that of your waist circumference. Now, the only thing is you have to ensure that these two measurements are in the same unit. So if you're doing your weight in inches, your height should also be in inches. And it is said that anyone that is up to 0.5 and above puts one at risk of some medical conditions. And so you want to do this, and if you fall within this category, then you know that you really need to lose some fat around your belly. So for me, at the beginning, I checked my waist circumference. That was sometimes in January, and it was like 39 inches. Recently, when I checked a few days ago, it had dropped to about 33 inches. The ideal waistline for a female should actually be less than 35 inches, and for male, it is less than 39 to 40 inches. Any waistline that is more than these levels is considered to be on the high side, and it should prompt you to do something about it. So when it comes to my weight, as at early February when I started, my body mass index was about 28. Yes, it was about 28, and now it has actually dropped to about 25. So what I basically did was I actually calculated my body mass index, and like the one I wanted to achieve, which was between 22 to 24. I know my height was not going to change, so the only thing that needed to change was my weight. So I calculated it to know that, okay, if I wanted this BMI and my height is this, what weight should I work towards? And I remember my weight actually falls between, I think, 55 kg to about 58 kg. Like, how many kgs do I then have to lose? And so I calculated it based on my weight at that time, which was 70 kg. I knew that I had to lose at least 10 kg. And so I was like, okay, what's the feasible thing between 10 to 12 kg? So I gave myself, okay, I'll do 6 months. So if I am able to lose like 2 kg every month, it means that in a period of 6 months, I should be able to achieve that. However, it was actually faster than I thought, because in 4 months, I've almost hit 10 kg. So after setting my target, my goals, and then I knew the next thing was to get to work. So I knew that I had to make a lot of changes to my lifestyle. So I had to start with my food. And that is very important, because I always say that when it comes to either living a healthy life, weight loss, one very important factor that must be addressed first is food. Every other thing is going to be additional. All the your green tea or whatever tea you're drinking, your apple cider vinegar, your exercise, every other thing you're doing is going to be more of supportive. So irrespective of whatever you're doing, if you're not eating healthy, it's going to make your weight loss journey much more difficult. So I always say that it is actually possible to achieve weight loss even without exercise, without any of these other things, and with just only your diet. So in terms of my food, I did some things. So I told you I did not have to completely take out my Nigerian foods, and that is because I feel like changing to a completely new diet or something that I'm not used to could make it a bit difficult for me, and it could make it unsustainable, because eventually I might actually go on this diet and then I lose the weight, but then how do I maintain it? Because it is not food that I am really used to. So it might become tiring. It might sometimes trying something new, could be very cumbersome. So I said, okay, in order to avoid such complications, I'm just going to stick to my regular food and see what changes I can achieve with that food. So the first thing is I had to really cut down on my carbohydrates. Yes, a lot of times our Nigerian foods are like high carbohydrate diets. So I knew that one thing I could do was to cut down my carbohydrates significantly, and I was able to do that. Now, after I have cut down my carbohydrates, of course, you'll be like, oh, if I am having small carbohydrate, how do I get filled? I have to replace that with a lot of vegetables. So what I do is I have a lot of vegetables on my plate. I increased my protein intake, and then I have just small carbohydrates, and I drink a lot of water. I realized that I get full, when I eat this food. And that was when it dawned on me that sometimes a lot of us are actually overeating. Like, you're eating more than your body really needs. Like, we assume that it's until I am very full and I feel full that I am really okay. So the next thing I had to do was I had to take out a lot of like foods that are high in refined sugar. I had to try to reduce them to the barest minimum, and for some I took out completely. And then the next thing I had to do was I had to reduce my intake of ultra processed food. Now, this is actually like a very big problem, because for a lot of people, it's just easy. I don't have to cook. My life is busy. I just get back to work. I just need something quick to eat. A lot of the pastries, a lot of the snacks, all the crisps, everything, that you can readily pick up from a store and eat. A lot of them are actually ultra processed food, and these foods have actually been linked to a whole lot of metabolic illnesses. This food tends to be high in fat, in salt, and a lot of unhealthy fat. So and usually very high in calories, in energy. So in another video, I'm going to be talking about this whole calorie thing, like in a very simple way that you will understand it. So such that we can understand the balance between all of this and how to be able to achieve weight loss with our food. So the next thing I had to do was I decided to go for healthier options of food. For example, my carbohydrates. I switched from the refined carbohydrate to the whole wheat carbohydrate. For example, my pasta, instead of the typical white pasta, I went for the whole wheat pasta. For bread, I have not really been like a big fan of bread, so it was just easy for me to put bread aside because I'm not like a big fan. So I just eat bread once in a while, and so basically that's it. But in terms of bread, one can actually switch from the white varieties to the whole wheat bread, or to the whole wheat bread. So I tried to do more of whole grain foods, though I still continued with my refined white rice, and that's because I tried the brown rice and I didn't really enjoy it, and I actually had to throw like the rest away because I just couldn't eat it. So I said, okay, why punish myself? And so I just remained with my white rice, but I tried to control the amount of it that I ate per time. So I decided to also go for foods that are high in fiber. Like I had to start introducing a lot of potatoes to my food, sweet potato, various types of potatoes to my food, because they have been found to be high in fiber. And I also tried some other vegetables, and there are some vegetables that are considered to be low glycemic, vegetables with low glycemic index. So I adapted some of those two into my food. So there were so many. So those are some of the changes I actually made. So for my proteins, I decided to go for the healthier proteins and put aside the unhealthy ones. Like meat, I eat meat, but I don't eat it too much. So I go for the white meat, like poultry. I do a lot of eggs. I do a lot of fish, and because I consider those ones to be healthier compared to the red meat. So those are some of the things I did. Now, I also made a lot of changes to my oil and my fat. For my fat, I had to move from those that are high in saturated fat to the ones that are lower or that are higher in unsaturated fat. So I had to put aside butter. I had to put aside some saturated oils like coconut oil and all of that. I reduced my use of palm oil because palm oil is also a type of saturated fat. So I didn't completely stop it, but I tried to reduce the quantity I use. I tried to make sure I reduce it significantly. Then I decided to try some healthier oils. I try some seed oils like rapeseed oil, and sometimes too I use vegetable oil because it is most readily available. And generally I try to reduce the amount of oil that I use to cook my food. So I did more of avocados, nuts, and introduced a lot of seed into my food. So those are some of the changes that I actually made to my food. I introduced a lot of fruit. I try to eat a lot of fruit, into my eating. Now, another thing that I had to do in terms of my food was to introduce some changes to the frequency of my food. So I started what we call intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting basically is like, there are different types of intermittent fasting, but what I did basically was a 16-8 window. So it's more like you divide your day into a period of 16 hours and 8 hours. So you're going to be fasted for 16 hours and you're going to eat within a period of 8 hours. So within that 8 hours, of course, how much food do you want to eat? So most times I end up eating only 2 main meals within those 8 hours window, which is my dinner and my lunch. So on some days I'm able to have some yogurt and fruit, of course unsweetened low fat yogurt. That's what I usually go for, and some fruit. And this is just something I take at the beginning of the window, and then maybe like an hour or two after I have my lunch. So that's basically what I do for the intermittent fasting. So I round up my eating until about 8 to 9 at night, and then I don't eat until the next day till about between 12 and 2 p.m. and that's when I start eating. So basically, these were some of the changes I actually had to make, and I am still researching a lot more to see what I can do in terms of my nutrition, because the goal is not just to lose weight. The goal is actually to live a healthy life, to feed my body the best of foods that it should have. So my aim is actually to really treat my body well in this season. Instead of feeding it things that are like unhealthy for it, I want to feed it what is good. And so now, finally, another step or major thing that I did in order to achieve this result was to become physically active. Now, physical activity is very, very, very important. It's very key, because one thing that can happen is in the process of losing weight, if you're not becoming physically active, there's a tendency that you will lose fat and you will also lose your muscle bulk. And so physical exercise not just has a whole lot of benefits. I have a video where I have talked about the benefits. You know, it can improve your heart function, mental well-being, alertness, a whole lot of things. But then much more is the fact that it can help to prevent loss of muscle bulk. And this is very important, because if you're losing weight and then you're losing your muscle bulk, it's not going to look good. So physical exercise helps to strengthen your muscle, helps to keep your muscle, to build up your muscle. So you're losing weight and at the same time your muscles are becoming thicker. So in a way, your body structure is still going to be maintained in a way. And also because over time, as you keep building your muscles, at even a resting state, your muscles will be able to consume a lot of calories, a lot of fat, a lot of energy. So in a way, it's more like at some point, even at your resting state, you're burning calories easily. So these are some of the things I had to do. So for me, the major physical activity I engaged in was running, and that was because of I just want to do something that is a little bit outdoor. And I actually considered my circumstances, which is one thing I always preach. Please, before you jump on any of these activities, please consider your current circumstances. I knew that as a mom, I have a toddler that I have to look after. I'm working as a doctor in training full time. So I knew that, and now I'm really like trying to do this content creation thing. So I know that I don't drive, and unfortunately there is no gym that is very close to the house. So I just knew that, okay, if I decide to register in a gym, I may not be consistent enough. So I said, okay, why not do something that is going to be convenient for my current circumstance? So I decided that, okay, I was just going to stay with basic home workout, and I was going to do running. So I run around my area. I don't go too far from the house, and gradually I have increased from nothing, and now I run at about 40 minutes at a stretch, and I'm planning to gradually increase that. And I am considering at some point in the year I might be going for my first 5k. I have my dumbbell, to build just for my upper body. I also feel like the running is helping with my lower body, because the muscles in my thigh are becoming thicker. So I feel like it's also helping. But then I don't mind trying some leg work, leg workout in the future. But for me right now, I just want to focus on my upper body. And I also do like some basic exercises to strengthen my core. And so basically those are like the things I do. Some days I skip to, and so these are like the things I do, and they don't actually take me out of my house, and it's at my convenience. So I hope this video has helped you today. And in conclusion, I would just say that, when it comes to achieving weight loss, achieving belly fat, doing what you can keep up with, something that you can stay consistent with, is very important. And you start from the beginning. There is no need jumping on a certain weight loss routine, and then in a matter of 3 months you achieve this weight loss, and then you're not able to keep up, and then the next thing there's a rebound. It's might be a bit challenging. So I think the most important thing is start gradually, learn in the process. Start learning how your body works, how all of these things interact with your body, how to the tweaks you can make, understand your body well, understand how these things, the food, the exercise, how they impact on you. And with time, it will be easier for you to be able to actually build more like a maintainer. So this is how I'm going to be ending this video today. Feel free to like, to comment, to share, and also subscribe to this channel. Until I see you again, take care. Bye.